Hello, guys. Welcome back to Hidden Secrets in Books. Welcome to another fresh episode. And you guys know I only bring about the top 1% of the guests to the show, the best of the best guests to the show. Like I promised you guys last week, today we're going to be having an award-winning best international selling author and a ghostwriter as well. So, and here she is. Today we are joined with Lana McAra, an award-winning international best-selling author and ghostwriter. She has more than 50 copies and over 1 million copies. She has more than 50 books and over 1 million copies. So, she's the founder of Vendela Publishing and has spent more than 2 decades teaching fiction writing and helping authors build sustainable careers that reach readers beyond changing algorithms and trends. Lana, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you very much, Lana. I would like you to do like an introduction of yourself to my audience.
Sure. I never dreamed of being a writer. I think that's the first thing to say. Most people I meet, and I have a podcast as well, most of my guests, they say, oh, I wanted to be a writer since I could hold a crayon or since I started school. But I didn't. I was a voracious reader. I loved reading. And I went through high school and college reading. But when I became an adult, I got married, I started having children. I got a magazine and it had a advertisement in it that said, you can write children's books. And that appealed to me because I had children and I thought I could do that at home, stay with the kids and write children's books. So it was a little course. And so I took the class and I found out I love creative writing, but I didn't write children's books. I wrote mystery novels, which is what I write today. I write mystery novels with a romance. And my writing journey was very difficult. I was writing for years and sending books to publishers. Now, this was before Amazon. So I was sending books to publishers, getting rejection. 14 years I wrote and did not get anything published until finally I had a personal breakthrough. And I think this is really a good point to bring to your listeners. And that is your personal mental health, your personal psychology, your ability to get in touch with your emotions. All of this affects the writing. And for myself, I was abused as a child and I had very shut down emotion. And when I had a breakthrough and I was able to release my emotions and feel my emotions, suddenly that book I'd been working on all that time, on the last time through, the emotions came out and I was able to write the feelings. And that's what made the difference. I got a publisher to say yes. And from that point on, I had a publisher who wanted anything I would write. And I published a lot of books with them over the next 15 years.
Thank you very much, Lana. So I have some questions here for you, and I would like us to get into them.
Sure.
Tell us about the beginning of your writing journey. I think you have spoken about that a little bit, but I still want to know, how did you first get started as a writer?
Yes, the course really led us through how to develop an idea, how to find out what is a good idea, and that kind of thing. But it didn't really finish the job, it was just an introduction kind of. And so what I learned through that process was we teach ourselves how to write. We do it by writing. So just keep writing, be open to feedback, look at your writing, like put it away for a week or two, and then bring it out and look at it with fresh eyes so you can be objective about your work. But one of the best practices to do is just write. whatever you want to write, just write something and get started. So that was really the beginning. And I'm a hard worker and I'm very diligent. So when my publisher started giving me deadlines, I would work very hard to meet my deadlines. And this is another point, I think, and that is when we look at our writing as a career and to have the kind of dedication and integrity to create a career. So the publisher or the magazine or whoever you're writing for knows you're reliable. You will do what you promise. You will deliver what you say you will deliver. And so that's another piece of it, is to be diligent and honor your word and all of those things. Business practices, they are all very important. Well, in 2001, I won a national award. One of my books won the Christie Award, which is a national award for fiction. It's a publisher's award. It is not one of those awards where people vote and all that. No, it was a publisher's award. So the publishers would submit their best books for the year. It would go to the Christie Committee, and the Christie Committee would read all of them and judge which were the best. And my book came up. Nobody was more surprised than me. I wasn't going to go to the ceremony. I thought, oh, it's a long distance. I'm not going to drive that far and get a hotel and all of that. Because in my mind, I wasn't going to win. I just, was glad I had been a finalist, but I didn't think I was going to win. And so then someone from the Christie Committee emailed me and said, "Are you coming to the awards ceremony?" And I said, I hadn't planned on it. And they said, "We suggest that you come." So I decided I think I better go. And I went and I attended the award ceremony. So my career took a different path from that point on. At that time, my publisher hired me. They hired me to be a book coach and a substantive editor. A substantive editor is someone who smooths out the words and looks at the bigger picture and that kind of thing. We also do grammar and punctuation, but we do much more than grammar and punctuation. And so the publisher basically trained me how to be a book coach and an editor. And that has stood me in good stead all these years since then. And so I became more and more involved in the process of creating books. And then at the same time, people were coming to me, begging me, calling me, emailing me to help them get their book published. And because of that, I started a course on how to write a novel. And it's still here today, 20 plus years later, how to write a novel that sells. And you can go see that if you want to at howtowriteanovelthatsells.com.
Thank you very much, Lana. Thank you for that wonderful answer. So here is my next question for you. You have watched the industry evolve for decades. How do you view the writing and publishing landscape today?
Oh, wow, that's such a great question. That is going to take a long answer. I'm afraid. So back in the day when I was talking about, when I first got published, it was all traditional and you had to just pray that some publisher would say yes to you. If you were to go to a self-publisher or a print shop, because usually a self-publisher was just a print shop, and have them publish the book, you could be rejected from then on for publishers. The publishers in that day did not want anyone who dared publish their own book. It was terrible. They had locked it down. They locked down the market and you couldn't get in. So then Amazon comes along. Now, Amazon opened doors for everyone. You can load your book to Amazon for free. You set up the entire process, create your price, all of that, and your book can be available on Amazon within just a few days. But what that did was it made the market became so saturated with books that there are too many. We don't know what's a good book, what isn't a good book. It's really hard to choose. We have to look at reviews and look at, what friends are reading and that kind of thing in order to be really certain that we're going to get a book we like. A lot of the books on Amazon are either written by AI and it's terrible, or they are very poorly done. So Amazon did some good. They really did some good. But now, here we are 20 years later, there needs to be more. And I call it vetting, because when you vet someone, you check them out and make sure they're actually good. And so we need more vetting of the books. And so about, I guess, maybe 7-8 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, another type of publisher came out, and that's called a hybrid. The hybrid publisher will treat your book exactly like a traditional publisher. They will publish your book. It will look good. It will look professional. They will post the book all over Barnes and Noble and all the other places, as well as Amazon. And they will not help with marketing, and they will not help you with sales.
Oops. Thank you. Thank you very much, Lana. So here is my next question for you. With so much competition and content online, how can someone realistically build a long-term career as a writer in today's marketplace?
This is a great question, because I hear a lot of book marketers talking about social media. It's almost like everybody's on the social media train. You have to have your book on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all of this. And it's true. There are very few, but there are a few people who do sell books on those platforms. But what they don't tell you is they are spending so much money on advertising and testing the market and all of these expensive things that they're really not making a whole lot. The people who are profiting is the platforms, because they're paying a lot of money to get all that done. So what I teach my authors at Vendela Publishing, I teach my authors to get into the community. And so when we have a book launch, we ask our authors to send us a list of bookstores and libraries that we can contact for them and set up live events. So the bookstores and libraries they send to us are within driving distance. They can get there without too much problem. They can set up where they want to go, and then they'll send us that list. And so then we also coach the authors on how to do a presentation. So we're not suggesting that these authors just do book signings or get a table at a book fair. No, this is different. We coach them on how to create 2 presentations from their book. And this can be fiction or nonfiction, either one, because a lot of times fiction authors are pushed aside. Like, you're fiction. You don't belong in the present. You can't do a presentation for fiction, but you can. You absolutely can. For example, I have a fiction book that's a mystery, of course. That's what I write. And it's about a stalker. And the woman doesn't know who the stalker is. So that's the premise of the story. But the truth is, I had a stalker. I had a stalker about 10 years ago, and I based the story on that situation because I learned a lot about what stalking is, what the police can do, what the police cannot do, what we have to do for ourselves, and all of that. So as I was going through that situation, I thought, this is so emotionally racking. There's so much trauma in this that this would be a good novel. And so I wrote it. So what do I do presentations on for that book? I do it on stalking. And so I'll give a presentation on how to prevent stalking or what to do if you have a stalker. And then I sell the book. I talk a little bit, very briefly, about the book. Oh yeah, here's my book. I took the story, fictionalized it, and I put it in here in the novel. But mostly I'm connecting with those people. I'm letting them get to know me. I'm answering their questions. I'm talking to them before the event, after the event, and I'm building a relationship with the community. So in my mind, the next time I have a book come out, which I have a book come out a couple times a year, I'll go to that same venue and there will be people who recognize me, and it will build a following. And then once I meet them, I can say to them, oh, follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram. But it starts in the real world. That's how you're going to set yourself apart. It's by meeting people face to face, talking to them, listening to them, answering their questions. Get into the community. And it's taken me a few years. Here I am in North Florida. And it's taken me a few years, but I am now a regular at various writers groups, at various libraries, and on around this area. So it does work. Our authors have been having great success with it, and it's so gratifying. Even if you only have maybe 8 or 10 people that come out, the connections are wonderful. There's one author who has a historical novel that's for children, about 12-year-old children. And it's about an Indian boy and a settler boy that make friends. And she does a presentation where she pretends she's one of the side characters. She's an old lady that's in the book. And so she dresses up in the costume of that time, and she goes to the library and she does a presentation called Meet Mary. So come out and meet Mary. And she just stands in front and says, when I was a girl, we lived near a creek and we had to take a bucket down and get water every day. And this is how we cooked. And my favorite food was this. She would just talk about life in those days. And her book was in the 1700s. And people were enthralled with it. And she sold books. And then she wrote a second book, and she went around to the libraries again with her second book. And she called me up and she said, I was at that event. There was about 25 people there. And several of the people came up to me before I even started and said, I want to get my book now because I have to leave afterwards and I won't have time to wait because there'll be too many people at the table. So let me buy my book now. And she sold 4 or 5 books before the event because people now knew. They knew her. They knew the book. She was writing series, which is also another good idea to write a series. And this was definitely working for her. So that's my solution for standing out from all those other authors that are out there.
Thank you, Lana. Thank you for that wonderful answer. So, Lana, for when it comes to publishing, what do you usually recommend? Do you recommend traditional publishing, independent publishing, or a hybrid approach?
That's such a great question because there's so many options today. It can be confusing for people to make that decision. Some people are really good with independent publishing. Independent publishing means you put your book on Amazon and you go solo. So that means you're in charge of getting the book cover done, getting the interior design of the book done, writing up the description, all of that, and then putting it up there on Amazon in the platform. You could hire some people to do assisted self-publishing, where they will help you do that. It usually costs somewhere around $5,000 to have that done. And they'll do your cover for you and everything. That's one way to do it. The hybrid method is another way where you pay. You can pay anywhere from $8,000 to $15,000 for a hybrid publisher to publish your book for you. They will do your cover and all of that, and then they will put your book out to all the distributors, so libraries and bookstores can find it, and anybody that goes online can find it there. They don't do anything with marketing or sales. The other option is traditional. Now, with the independent and the hybrid, the author keeps the rights, at least usually. Some hybrids also keep some rights. So what it means by rights is who can use the material in the book. With the traditional publisher buys the rights. They own the rights. Once you sign that contract, you have no access to what's in the book anymore. If you want someone to have access to that material, you have to send them to buy the book. You can't take the material from your computer and create some other product out of it. You can't take it and make a course. You can't take it and make a series of YouTube videos. You just have to send them to buy the book. That is the rights to the book. So that's what the traditional publishers demand. They own the rights. When I got my rights back, I had 10 of my titles returned to me by my publisher. I had to make a decision of what to do with those titles because the traditional publisher had done a good job of selling those books. Some of them sold 250,000 copies, but they let it go out of print. The books had been out of print for 10 years. I couldn't get them back. They were hanging there in limbo. I couldn't access my own material. They wouldn't publish them again, and they wouldn't give them back. And so finally, I did get them back. But I didn't want to do traditional again. They're going to hold up my books again. I'll have to sign my rights away. Didn't want to do that. I had already published 3 books with a hybrid. I didn't want to do that. It's too expensive. If I have, say it's a cheap hybrid, say it's very affordable, only $6,000. Not affordable to me, but only $6,000. I have 10 books. That's $60,000. No, I wasn't going to do that. They didn't help me sell books anyway. And so the hybrids was not a choice. Amazon was a choice, but I had always been globally in bookstores and all over the place. I had my family would travel to Europe and call me up and say, your book is in this bookstore. It was amazing. I didn't want to give that up. So I didn't want to go independent either, because if you go independent, Amazon is all you get. So what I did was I created my own company. I realized if I want to do this my way, I'm going to have to do it myself. So I went into Ingram, not Ingram Spark, Ingram. Ingram is the big company that serves all the bookstores, libraries, and schools. And I went in to find out what do they require in order for a publisher to be accepted by them. And I found out. I downloaded the document, and that became my business model. And that is where Vendela Publishing was born. And so we do traditional a different way. We don't keep any rights. We don't keep any royalties. We support our authors by helping them get these live engagements. Our staff will call those bookstores and libraries and set up appointments for scheduling engagements. And we also have an ongoing training, which is called a guided year. So whenever someone has a book come out, they get 1 year of training on how to do a book launch and what the latest things are and what to do. And we support each other. And there's the networking among the authors and the team and all of that. So you're not alone, because one of the biggest things that I see with authors, they're so depressed. They feel so alone and they don't know what to do. And so we created that piece of it. So that's, there are now 5 choices or 4 choices for publishing, because Vendela is here. It's author owned. I'm an author. I own the company. It's author owned and operated. All the team, we have 10 people on the team. They're all authors with the exception of 2 people who are not authors, but almost all of us are authors and we care. We really want our authors to succeed because you're our brothers and sisters. We're just like you. We've been there. We understand.
Thank you very much, Lana. Thank you for that wonderful explanation. So here is my final question for you. For listeners who want to follow your work and learn from you, connect with your publishing community, where can they find them?
Oh, thank you so much for asking. If you go to Vendela Publishing, and it's V as in Victor, Endela, Vendela Publishing.com. Everything is laid out there. All the explanations. You see exactly what you get. There's a link there where you can enter your book and we will check it out. We don't require a lot of social media or anything like that. We just want a good book. So we're going to look at the book and give you feedback and support you in any way that we can. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you so much, Lana. Thank you very much. Today with Lana, we explore the realities of writing, publishing, and building a lasting career in an ever-changing creative industry. From storytelling crafts to navigating the business side of books, one message stood out clearly. Success in writing is built through consistency, guidance, and staying connected to readers beyond trends and authority. Until next time, see you guys. Hidden secrets in books. Thank you, Lana.